Good evening, I'm Adventure Argonaut. This is the Golden News, and I bring you the news on this Tuesday news day. But first, of course, have to check the streams. Are they functional? And let's kick out the kick chat and put it here. Right, it's in place, sort of. Let's check Rumble. Is Rumble rumbling? How does it look like? Yes. All right. All right. I think everything is working. That's very nice. And then let's click here. So the first news is, oh, I thought the AI had managed to write it properly, but no, it's United States. Is two T's. But anyways, United States Ministry of War. So Trump changed the Ministry of Defense to Ministry of War, and that's a decision I support wholeheartedly, or at least let's say 79% heartedly. But let's see. So yeah, because it is something that, oops, I didn't mean to press there. It's something that I've been grumbling to myself every now and then, that this minister of defense, when it's actually all about war. And especially for the United States, they have been very warlike for the past, well, I guess at least ever since the end of World War II. Well, they were quite warlike also in World War II, and so yeah, they've been warlike for a long time. So this is much more honest. I do prefer that. It's I think it's very cowardly to call it the Department of Defense or the Ministry of Defense, and especially for a country like the United States. Like, hey, maybe you can get away with it in some European countries, or that haven't been to war in decades, or something like that, or Japan or whatever, but not for the United States. So I do agree with this decision. And Germanic friend here says, I support war against Israel. Yes, I support that as well. You know, being a millennial growing up during the Bush era and his crusades, and I was like, oh, all war is bad and all that stuff for a while. But then I was just like, no, I there's maybe one or two nations that I support war against. But anyways, let's see. Thomas Massey says, if it's called the Department of War, then can we finally acknowledge it commits acts of war, which require congressional declarations according to our constitution? Yeah. Um, Probably, yeah, because yeah, that's also cowardly, like what the United States has been doing for decades. Probably that bombing countries like Yemen or like Iran a few months ago, but not actually calling it war, just calling it I don't know, surgical strikes or whatever. Hey, Agent Double Hands, indeed, this is the hottest news in town, any town, and the police siren you're playing. Is that from like Police Squad or Naked Gun? So it looks like it. Welcome. What's this? Oh yeah, and then Trump hosted billionaire moguls, including Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, at the White House. But rain ruins president's rose garden plans. So at least he's alive, because last week it wasn't clear if he was alive or not. But yeah, it's um, I don't know, like why is he like? Of course, it could be keep your friends close, your enemies closer, that's kind of stuff. But he was supposed to drain the swamp, not join the swamp. So I don't know, like especially Bill Gates is quite a swampy person in my opinion. Was this? Oh yeah, and this was also interesting. So JD Vance said that killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. And Brian Krasenstein says killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. And JD Vance says, I don't give a shit what you call it. So this is, of course, like, I think mostly, especially, let's say more right-leaning people have sided with JD Vance on this. And it's like, for me, it's like, if indeed he was just killing, or they were, well, I don't think JD Vance himself did anything, but, the military, the soldiers did. So if they just killed some, actual drug dealer cartel members, then yes, I do support their actions. But of course, the problem here that some people have, presumably, is that, you could easily say that, you just kill a bunch of, dissidents or something who don't agree with your policies or something, and say no, they were criminals, they were totally drug dealers, and get away with it. That, I guess, that's the issue that some people have. But I hope they don't make it too a habit of doing too much of that, because then it's, the more they do it, the more likely is they're going to kill their wrong kind of people. Or and also, just like, but of course, if they would use these methods against swamp people, these pedophiles in government and stuff. There's somebody shilling some Discord in my kick chat, but no, I am not gonna join Discord. I don't think Discord is, it's a bit sus. Usually sus things happen in Discord. So anyways, and there's also this, so we are, Secretary of War Hegseth says, we are fully ready for regime change in Venezuela. The final decision to change the regime in Venezuela is up to President Trump. So yeah, that's I guess the downside of the like, Ministry of War. Like, if they're gonna be more open about it, they're just gonna, if they start attacking Venezuela and stuff. And I'm not saying that this is a great guy or anything, or the establishment is great, but how did regime change work in Iraq or Afghanistan and countries like that? So I'm just, a bit doubtful they're gonna improve the world if they do something like that. Especially, like, I do recall a few weeks ago saying that, the, what's his name, Maduro, that he's not a fan of Israel, or Israel is not a fan of him. So maybe that has something to do with their decision to potentially attack Venezuela. Um, okay, and oh yeah, the Speaker of the House announces Trump as an FBI informant tasked with taking down Epstein. So this is like, do, does he have any evidence to support this, or it's just like his feels? Like, I feel like that's why he used to hang around with Epstein a few decades ago, or like, has Trump ever claimed it? Is there any evidence for this claim, or is it just a way of trying to protect uh, Trump from the allegations that he is in some sort of nasty Epstein files, since he seems to have been protecting Epstein for the past few months and saying these the files don't exist, and stuff like that. And it's a distraction invented by the Democrats and all kinds of random stuff. So yeah, and Rand Paul commented on the stuff about killing cartel members. So he said, "JD, I don't give a shit. Vance says killing people he accuses of a crime is the highest and best use of the military. Did he ever read To Kill a Mockingbird? Okay, is this the new Sargon of Accords? Have you ever read Locke? Because I've never read To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't know what the book is about. But anyway, did he ever wonder what might happen if the accused were immediately executed without trial or representation? What a despicable and thoughtless sentiment it is to glorify killing someone without trial. See, like, normally I would agree with Rand Paul, but like, I do think there are some heinous criminals, mostly in governments and big business, and uh, maybe some NGOs too. Like maybe they would deserve this sort of treatment the most. No, right, like get full Patriot Act on them. Since now the Patriot Act is a thing in the United States. Maybe some other countries have similar laws. So maybe if there was somebody in charge with some balls and stuff, maybe they could start building some oubliettes. Let's just put it that way, and put people in them. Ah, okay, it's just the same news. Yeah, Speaker Johnson says Trump was an FBI informant to take Epstein down. So yeah, is there any evidence for this claim, or did he just make it up because it sounds good? Oh yeah. So yeah, the government will redact every Republican while leaving every Democrat and liberal name visible on the Epstein client list, says acting deputy chief DOJ Joseph Schnitt per James O'Keefe. So the Republican Party is openly protecting their own pedos. So if that's true, then that's quite, I don't know. It's a bit too obvious even for me. It's like the I don't know, but hey, at least that's something that um. Oh yeah, there was one more news about Trump. Let's see. I probably didn't. Oh yeah, that's not Trump, but yeah, this. So yeah, Trump also said that you hear about anti-Semitic, but you don't hear about anti-Christian, and I guess yes, that's true. Or also anti-white, don't hear it. Well, in some circles you hear about it, but not in the mainstream. So I guess it's good he's saying stuff like this. So there are some positive developments in his administration this week, but not all of it good. And of course, it means like what kind of Christians, because Christians aren't a monolithic group. There are very pro-Israel Christians. There are some who are very anti and Israel-related people, and some who actually care about Jesus, and some who just do it because it makes them look good. Sort of the kind of people who go to church on every Sunday and be there first and make everybody else know that yeah, I was here first, sitting in the front row and all that. But yeah. Anyways, let's move on to the next story. So the Japanese Prime Minister resigns. Don't really know yet, like what's the official explanation or anything. Um, so yeah, Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba announces his resignation, but it's good news since this was the guy who was bringing all sorts of third world immigration to Japan. But of course, like the damage is probably done. I'd be surprised if the next prime minister would reverse the damage that this guy has done. So that's usually how it works. Like the next one will be slightly less harmful to Japan, the next prime minister, but he's still gonna follow presumably the same party line, but just in a more refrained manner. And because I don't think you're gonna fix these problems simply by voting. You have to do something. Oh, where did this get here? Oh, yeah, but you have to do something else than simply vote your way out of problems and stuff. But yeah, not much to say about that incident or that case. So okay, then let's go to the killing of Iryna Jarutska. So there was this Ukrainian refugee in United States who was stabbed or something in. Well, yeah, here it says 23-year-old Iryna Jarutska fled to Ukraine to from you fled Ukraine to America. Okay, on her return home from her job as a waitress in a pizzeria, 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown took her life. Okay, what kind of name is a DeCarlos? Like it's like Carlos, but it's De Carlos, so it's not Carlos. So what is it? His name is Bob. Then it's like Bob Brown. Is that me? Like Bob is the opposite of Carlos or something. It's like there's matter and antimatter. So there's Bob and the Carlos. Oh no, there's Bob and Carlos, whatever. I don't know if I should be joking because this is a serious matter, but I don't even know what's going on anymore. So yeah, I guess it's a train or a bus. People saying it's a train. So yeah, this guy sitting here, and then he's gonna. Because I don't think this video shows any actual killing. So yeah, I guess he's taking out the switchblade, and then yeah, freeze frame. Like technically you could say that it's fake. You don't see what happens, but I'm gonna assume it's real. And yeah, here this looks like blood down here. So and this De Carlos, I think he's like a career criminal who's been arrested like 13 times or something, and complete nut job. But for some reason he wasn't behind bars. And yeah, here and wokeness says 10 AP stories. 10, I'm 10 0. See that's I said that because I'm a role player. Because if you use a D10 and a 10-sided die and there's a zero on the dice, but you usually count it as a 10. So, anyways, zero AP story, zero PBS, zero NYT, blah blah. So zero, I guess, mainstream media stories, and yeah, Elon Musk says zero, and then Germania. Why do you think that is, Elon? Because the fucking Medes, I guess, Miss Media is owned by Jews. I didn't say that. Germania said that, but it is somebody seems to be owning the media. Um, yeah, and of course, notice the skin color difference in these two people. It is like it's not the first and won't be the last. And hashtag not all, of course, but like, what are we gonna do? There are certain, I've said it before. I do think there are certain propensities on people based on their race, and it should be taken into account in certain cases. But of course, I do think many people nowadays are going a bit too far, like assuming that since I don't know, the propensity in certain race is to behave in a certain manner in certain situations, they assume that everybody's gonna act that way. But that's of course not true, and of course meaning both in negative and positive ways. But anyways, and here Jake Shields had said they have no fear. At least I assume he is responding to this case. So they have no fear because there are no serious consequences. Before, if anyone attacked our wife or daughter, we would lynch him, but this guy will be free within a week. I'm not necessarily saying lynchings were good, but uh, I am saying it would make shit like this uncommon. Yes, and then is uh, hate speech or violent speech. Yeah, it's not like okay, he's talking about violence, but he's not advocating it. Not directly. Like it's how Orwellian. If you want to, make an implication, and is he wrong? I guess is he wrong? I think that would be the biggest question, the most relevant question here. And once again, I'm not saying lynchings are a good thing either, but it's like but this is bad. There was just this chick sitting on the train or whatever, trying to get home from her shift, looking at her phone, and she didn't say anything, do anything to the guy. He just killed her, and there's something wrong with stuff like this. It just shouldn't happen, and it's not like the first thing it's happened in recent decade or recent years, something like that. But anyways, let's move on. Let's move on. I don't have much, insightful or unique things to say about this story, and I think a lot of other people online have already said probably much more than me about it. So let's move on to Clot Shot news, and I do like the art. I just wrote to the type the prompt, the AI prompt, the Clot Shot, and this is one picture I got. I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be depicting, but I would call it art and a bit disturbing. But anyways, so Real Ben here asks, are you even remotely surprised that the COVID shot causes turbo cancers? And well, yeah, I responded no. I'm not surprised. I'm not saying I believe that that is necessarily the case, but it wouldn't surprise me. And I don't know whether that's true, but I've seen people claim this thing many times, and it's certainly possible. But it's like because somebody I knew died last year of cancer, but they didn't they didn't take the shot. So, like my personal anecdote would suggest otherwise. And I did have some relatives die a few years ago during COVID, and I do suspect at least one of them had something to do with the injection. I'm not sure about all of them, but like they weren't cancer cases though. But certainly, and I didn't take the shot myself because I decided that was literally a hill to die on if necessary. And hey, because I didn't, I'm still alive. I'm just gonna say that. But um, like all over, the general, all the various methods governments try to do to quote unquote protect people, I do believe they did much more harm than good. And one of my relatives who was an elderly woman living by herself, I don't think the fear mongering and all that from the radio and TV and stuff made her feel any better. And like even if it had nothing to do with the injection. But anyways, RFK Jr. grilled by Senate over COVID vaccine restrictions and CDC director firing. What is it like firing or is it somebody's name is firing? I don't know. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. faced tough bipartisan questioning about limiting COVID vaccines to older and high risk Americans and firing the CDC director. Okay, I guess this is what this is talking about. Republican Senator Bill Cassidy, a physician, called Kennedy's policies disastrous and nonsensical. Kennedy has also replaced vaccine advisory committee members with vaccine skeptics and canceled mRNA vaccine contracts. Okay, that sounds good. No, no, no. Then I like ban this guy. People like I can deal with a little bit of shilling some bullshit in the chat, but if it's like I don't like spam. I'm for freedom of speech. I'm not for freedom to spam. Okay, now I don't know. Something's going on with the chat. It's still semi-functional, anyways. Let's see. What else do we have? RFK Jr. advisor claims COVID-19 vaccine may have given cancer to the King and Kate Middleton. So apparently, a leading medical advisor to anti-vax health secretary Robert F. Is he even anti-vax? Like he certainly like it's sort of like somebody asks like um, do you want an apple? It's like no, sorry, I don't want to eat anything sweet now. And it's like oh my god, he's anti-apple. Like it's just because he said some negative things about vaccines. It's like oh my, well it's more like it is like you reject our Lord and Savior the vaccine. That's something I figured out long before the pandemic, that vaccines have replaced Jesus in the minds of many Westerners as the one thing that gives you salvation, and nothing scientific against about it. Anyways, so Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is claiming that King Charles, or his medical advisor is claiming King Charles and Kate Middleton may have developed cancer from the COVID-19 vaccine. It was announced last year that Charles and his daughter-in-law, Princess of Wales, were being treated for cancer. I didn't know. At least I don't recall seeing this news. So yeah, I didn't know they had cancer. Dr. Asim Malhotra, so sounds is it Indian or Pakistani or something? Controversial British cardiologist who advises RFK Jr. linked activist group MAHA Actions or Make America Healthy Again says he believes they could have developed cancer from the COVID mRNA vaccine, citing discredited studies that have also been promoted by senior Department of Health and Human Services advisor Stephen Hatfield. Hatfield. It's not a landfill, it's a Hatfield. Yeah. Blah blah blah. Okay, I'm not gonna read all of that, but it's interesting they're making the claim. But as somebody who has been skeptical of the bloodshot since the beginning, before it even existed, basically. Um, Still, I'm also skeptical of people who say that because of the injection, one half of the population of Earth is gonna be dead in 2 years, and it's gonna give you this and that. This is like maybe not, because there's also disinfo on the other side, or like people who are they just want to get catch people's attention by saying something very well, eye catching or ear catching. Anyways, let's see. And Foundering here says even Steve Bannon is furious. That's how bad things are. RFK Jr. gets ripped to shreds by the Senate for saying that, hey, maybe let's not inject babies with poison. And the same day, the architects of the COVID crimes against humanity are invited to the White House. Name a bigger slap in the face. Yeah. Maybe it's coincidental, maybe not. I don't know. Oh yeah, and this is so there's some sort of study here. So let's see. Long COVID sufferers can take heart. So, uh, like the title is weird. Okay, this is from April of last year, so this is not new. But yeah, let's see. There's still a few interesting. Yeah, I guess this one. Uh, oh, yeah. Not just vaccine, but vaccination. Let's see. So there's no consensus on what causes lingering COVID-19 symptoms long after the acute infection has cleared. There is no definition of what a long COVID is. At present, public health officials are flying blind when it comes to long COVID and vaccination. So yeah, I've never believed in the long COVID. It sounds more like it's, let's say, some other disease that they're confusing with COVID. Uh, so there is concern that COVID-19 vaccination per se might contribute to long COVID. Oh, really? Giving rise to the colloquial term long vax. Yeah. So COVID-19 vaccines utilize a modified, stabilized pre-fusion spike protein that might share similar toxic effects with its viral counterpart. Possible association between COVID-19 vaccination and the incidence of, no, not that. Yeah, these multiple studies have shown an increased risk of myocarditis after vaccination with the mRNA encoding SARS-CoV-2 spike protein. So yeah, hence the name clot shot. Um, mRNA vaccines can result in spike protein expression in muscle tissue. Blah blah blah. So because COVID-19 vaccines were approved without long-term safety data and might cause immune dysfunction, it is perhaps premature to assume that past SARS-CoV-2 infection is the sole common factor in long COVID. So they say it's still premature. Well, I agree. I guess it's premature, but it's like I think it's good possibility that for some reason these authorities seem to be ignoring us, like unless the answer is really staring you in the face, there's like no, it must be something else. But I think yeah, that's all about clot shot today. Let's see. So German clown country, more politicians dead. So last week I reported that was 6 or 7 AFD politicians had died. Oops. first change tab here. Let's be very professional about it. So yeah, I reported that 6 or 7 politicians have died, and now it's 16 apparently. Mystery has 16 German politicians died before they were due to stand in state elections, sparking wild conspiracy theories. Like, okay, at this point, if 16 politicians die like that, like there must be something wrong with you if you're looking at it and don't suspect a conspiracy. Like what the fuck is wrong with you? But I've heard that maybe not all of these are necessarily of these 16 are not necessarily AFD members. You know, Alternative for Deutschland might be some other parties there, but anyway. So social media rife with conspiracy theories after 16 candidates die ahead of German local elections. Um, Election supervisor, state police looking into initial fraud acts which were announced on 1st September told the German press agency that there were no evidence of a third party involvement. Aha. I don't know, no evidence of a third party involvement already sounds a sus way of putting it. The election supervisor in the western German state of North Rhine-Westphalia has told the media that the authority is aware of 16 candidates dying in the run-up to this month's local elections. I'm just wondering, like statisticians, has anything like this happened in Germany before or any other European country, like let's say in the past 150 years? Like, or, perhaps, in the 1930s elections or something because they were the nationalists and the communists and stuff fighting in the streets, maybe like that. Anyways, elections will take place in the state on the 14th September, and the voters will choose district blah 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 blah. Election officials, they are not concerned by the number of deaths and don't consider it significantly high. I just like to see some statistics, like is it statistically unusual? It sounds very statistically unusual to me, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Speculation has been rife on social media the rising number of deaths among candidates representing the far right alternative for Germany AfD party. Yeah. So at the beginning of September, 4 candidates of the AfD are reported, and just days later, that Sally had risen to 7. AfD co-chair Alice Weidel shared the news on a post on social media saying only 4 AfD candidates dead. The initial 4 deaths were among candidates representing towns of Bad, Lippspringe, Bloomberg, Rheinberg, and Schwerte. No evidence of foul play, police say. State police looking into the initial 4 deaths, which were announced on 1st September by the German press agency, that there was no evidence of any third party involvement. Only in one case was an official investigation launched, which didn't uncover any evidence of foul play. So the others, they didn't even bother to look, and it's like, okay, they, I don't know, went to the dead guy's house and kicked around for 30 minutes. Like, yeah, I don't see smoking guns, no bloody knife. Yeah, it's nothing to see here. The other 3 fatalities were determined to have died in circumstances that were not deemed suspicious. See, that's already suspicious. They should at least, if there was some journalists who actually did their work, they should try to find out all the reasons. Maybe it is all coincidental. It's possible, but it would make me feel better if I knew the different reasons. Of the candidates whose deaths were announced on 2nd September, one died of kidney failure, and while the other committed suicide. See, if you're applying to be to become a politician, you're running for office or whatever, and then suddenly you decide to commit suicide. That's sus, right? Like, okay, maybe this died of kidney failure, but I guess I'd ask, like, did he have or he or she have kidney problems prior, or did they just suddenly appear? Like maybe it was injected with something, or who knows what. On 3rd September, the AfD branch in Rheinshade told the Politico that their candidate for criminal was an 80-year-old who died of natural causes after a long illness. Okay, that I believe that might be genuine natural causes death. if the information here is accurate. And Kay Gottschalk, the FD state vice president, said on Politico's Berlin Playbook podcast that there was no reason to view the deaths as anything other than coincidence. Aha. Nevertheless, it is planned to examine the cases without immediately getting into conspiracy theory territory, he said. North Rhine-Westphalia is Germany's third largest state by area and has a population of more than 18 million. More than 20,000 people are running for seats in the state. So they weren't very. So yeah, they said, old guy dies of natural illness. Okay, fine, and but yeah, kidney failure. We don't have many details, and one committed suicide. It sounds even more sus now that I looked more into it. It's like, come on, man. I hope the Germans are, I don't know, sharpening their knives or something. And this is not news. This happened over 20 years ago, but it's like a similar kind of incident. So this guy, David Kelly, he was a weapons expert, like an inspector in Iraq back in the day when the Iraq War was had just started, I believe. And this was one of the, he was Welsh, Linblia Glamorgan, Wales. I have no idea how to pronounce that. But anyways, this was a red pilling moment for me because I didn't know much about politics or shit like that, but I was following the Iraq War on TV, and then suddenly this guy was told to have committed suicide, like he had went to inspect weapons in Iraq, and suddenly he got sad and killed himself, and I was like, what little information I was told about it on TV, and I was like, this was obviously a murder, and I was so naive that I expected, like, I was searching through different news channels and stuff, and like a teletext on TV saying, like, hoping that somebody would point out that yes, like, one of the news agencies would point out that it is indeed looks sus and they're suspecting murder, but none of it happened, and I felt crazy or something. And a few years later, I would realize, like, no, it was because all the media is in on the thing. They were protecting whoever the culprit may have been. And I presume this guy found out that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and um, that's why he has decided to commit suicide, right? I don't know, this so fucked up, just this world sometimes. All right, let's move on though. So some Epstein documents were released, but curiously, I haven't really heard much about their contents yet. So this is well, anyway. U.S. House Oversight Committee releases all subpoenaed documents from the DOJ related to Jeffrey Epstein. But yeah, the files are in over 33,000 individual photos of pages. It's impossible to digest this. So I guess that's one reason. Like it will take a long time for a single person or even I don't know, some sort of study group to go through it, um, all the information. And I have heard claims that some of the information is redacted, so I wonder how valuable it is. Okay, the House Oversight Committee has released 33,295 pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. The files were published as that many separate documents in Google Drive and Dropbox, making them difficult to quickly access. Yeah. And Grimaldi here says most of the files were those already available to the public. Fell for it again award. 33,000 redacted Epstein files. Fell for it again. Okay, I should point out it's 33. It's the Freemason number. And I don't know if it's relevant here or not, but somebody has probably pointed it out. And yes, Epstein did not Epstein himself, unless that's the trick that Epstein did Epstein himself, and nobody saw it coming. So yeah, I don't know what to say. Like maybe there's something relevant there. Maybe somebody's gonna find it, but I don't have time or expertise to go through all of those documents myself. White House official cautioned Republicans that endorsing Representative Massey's discharge petition that on the Epstein files would be viewed as very hostile act to the administration. So I think the discharge petition is the petition to get them released, right? Like, why would it be hostile to the administration? I wonder. It's a bit weird. Shut it down. Yes. Release the pedophiles. Yeah, release the pedophiles. It's too funny. I can't even speak anymore. I you know like it just sounds like these files were probably just a distraction, something, yeah, to keep people busy and hopefully make them stop demanding for all the Epstein files, the client lists, and actually making his uh, fellow criminals also, arresting people he trafficked children to. Nope. I guess have to wait for the next administration or something, as if things are gonna change. But anyways, so some underwater internet cables were cut. Um, so yeah, Microsoft reports multiple international subsea cables were cut in the Red Sea, impacting the Azure cloud platform. Like, when it's worded this way that they were cut, sounds like somebody cut them intentionally. But so yeah, here is starting at 5:45 UTC on 6th September 2025. Traffic traversing through the Middle East, originating and/or terminating in Asia or Europe regions may experience increased latency due to multiple undersea fiber cuts in the Red Sea. Disruption has required rerouting through alternate paths, which may lead to higher than normal latencies. The advisory is intended to raise awareness ahead of increased demand as regions enter the start of its work week. So yeah, so it makes it sound like somebody did it intentionally, but maybe it was accident. Either maybe it was human. I don't know, like a boat crashed to the bottom of the sea somehow, or maybe it was a storm. I don't know what happened there. And but I did see reports that it if affected especially India and Pakistan negatively. So maybe it was some hero who did it to save us from their online presence for a few days or something. So cable cuts in the Red Sea slowed Microsoft Azure. Here's what happened. So yeah, I don't know if I've heard the name Azure before, but who uses, or is some cloud service, like who actually uses these sort of cloud services? Like I don't wanna upload my shit to the cloud. Like okay, Steam game saves. I'm fine there in the cloud, but if I have something more personal documents or pictures, I wouldn't want them to be in the cloud. But yeah, whatever. Let's see what else do we have here. Oh yeah, and then there's this. So, and I think this happened. Yeah, this happened before the cables were cut. So, is it coincidental or not? I don't know. So, independent journalist Nick Sauter has uncovered a deep network of ex-influencers being paid to promote pro-Indian messaging. So Ryan Fournier, India has always had President Trump's back. India made a fortune of Russian oil. The marches which show so Ryan Fournier, don't know who that is. Matt Wallace, Chinese Communist Party is already trying to subjugate the United States, while India buys oil to keep the lights on and limit inflation. The CCP steals intellectual property, blah blah blah. So yeah, I don't know. Like, it's so like it's one thing saying that yeah, China is doing bad things, but like why do you have to violate India like that? But of course, it's because he was paid allegedly. Even election wizard, fake news is trying to paint India as an enemy. Why? I'm disappointed. I sometimes listen to what he has to say. Defined else, India has always welcomed Trump with open arms, blah, blah, blah. Okay. America and India stand united, whose is community norms and violations. I thought this was supposed to be just about community norms and whatever. So, yeah, these are allegedly were paid to by Indians to promote India, which is, I guess, sad if you actually do that. Well, hey, pay me enough money, I'll do that too. I'll shield for India if you pay me good money for it. I can find something positive to say about India as long as you don't expect me to say, your scripted bullshit because that's too disgusting. But hey, call. But it has to be a lot of money though. And then there's claim that conservative influencer DC Draino was exposed for promoting pro-India propaganda as part of deep network of ex-influencers being paid to push it. However, I didn't see any evidence of this. I'm just sort of pointing it out as counter evidence. Like, okay, well, what has DC Draino done to push India propaganda? Like, yeah, he's Jewish, right? He's pushing Israel propaganda, but versus India, or maybe they mixed up Israel and India because they both start with an I. Sort of like, all Israelis, Indians, and Italians and Irish look the same, but Icelanders are different, of course. Uh, all right, but let's move on to the next story. So, global tyranny. Hey, the AI almost got it right. Almost. So it's just um, few news about this sort of stuff again. Age verification company exposes user data, reinforcing privacy fears over digital ID systems. So a new report just exposed an age check system for leaking porn browsing data, full URLs, IPS, facial scans, emails, all sent to Amazon servers. This is what the digital ID agenda actually looks like. No oversight, no transparency, just rushed mandates and private companies ultimately vacuuming up intimate data. So I think it's a good thing that this sort of stuff is happening now. If it makes people push harder against these dox yourself companies, and yes, if they're private companies, that would be like at least you could make an argument that for safetyism and stuff, if it's like the government's own services and websites and stuff that do it. But if it's a private company doing this, that's just bullshit. Come on, man. They're not even trying. The UK government doubles down, stating that it will continue censoring the internet and plans to introduce new laws to prevent devastating self harm material from reaching people of all ages. Yeah, so, UK Dylan Diest, please. Somebody, let's say if somebody was to say that, you should nuke certain Middle Eastern country that's not Iran, starting with an I, will probably get banned from the internet. But can I say that can one suggest that nuking UK is fine because it's a European country? Perhaps UK deserves it, or just even like to save the rest of the world, like amputate the infection. And Nepal blocks Facebook, YouTube, WhatsApp, other major platforms. So they Nepal just blacked out major parts of the internet: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, Signal, Reddit, Discord, X, Reddit gone. Why? Because tech companies wouldn't register with the government and agree to censor speech. See, some of this might be good, like banning Facebook, Instagram, Reddit. That might be good. WhatsApp, I fucking hate WhatsApp. Uh, Wait, there's two Reddits. I guess it's double banned. That's good. So see, I've sympathized with Nepal, but if it's registering stuff, that's just bullshit. We really need to build a lot of oubliettes globally. To introduce basic freedoms or something like basic ability to communicate without governments and corporations sticking their smelly dicks in every hole. UK's Online Safety Act mandating age verification for adult websites has significantly reduced traffic to compliant sites, while non-compliant sites have been seen traffic double or triple per Washington Post analysis of 90 popular porn sites using similar web data. Compliant sites face lower and ad revenue and verification costs, while non-compliant sites gain from increased visitors. Yeah, that's good. I hope it's also other kinds of sites, not just porn sites. Um, but yeah, it's good that those. I think it sends a good message. Like if you bow down to the oppressor, that's just gonna end up ruining you. It's like, yeah, I'm not. Don't wanna defend porn sites too well. Like this is one of those gray areas that I'm not saying that porn should be allowed without any restrictions, but also I'm not saying that all porn should be allowed. Like I don't know where the line should be drawn, but I guess there's a line somewhere. And OpenAI says it's scanning users' ChatGPT conversations and reporting content to the police. Like when it's put this way, it sounds like they're doing it for fun. Like, hey, this guy, this might be construed as a crime. Chat logs no longer feel safe. Yeah, well, shouldn't really be a surprise. But what do we have here? All right, let's move on. Not so many tyranny news, but now it's just let's go to UK to a very specific tyranny news. Comedian arrested in the UK. So John Cleese, of Monty Python, says that I see that it took 5 London policemen to arrest a comedian. Meanwhile, people in Chelsea have learned not to waste their time reporting burglaries. Is this an intelligent use of resources? So this is where I actually heard about this, and then I had to do an internet search on it to find who was arrested. But first, I should read this 4chan post about John Cleese written 6 years ago. Let's see. He was a progressive liberal degenerate comedian in the 1960s, uber white, uber polite Britain that could take the piss out of the people he saw as uptight and repressed while enjoying the clean, safe streets and quiet little hamlets full of those same uptight, repressed, polite to a fault, helpful white Christian Anglos. The best part was that those same conservative British Anglos were generally pretty humorous about themselves, so when you made fun of them, they laughed along with you and shook their heads, saying, haha, Margie, he's got a point. It was heaven on earth for him, be a popular counterculture icon loved by conservatives and liberals alike for being hilarious, but also enjoy the benefits of a strong, stable, homogeneous culture. Now he's an old man staring at a desolate wasteland where London is majority non-white. Everyone is suspicious, and the hamlets and villages are economic dead zones every week. There's a new group you're not allowed to make fun of. No one has a sense of humor anymore. The little girls are being sold as sex slaves by your own politicians. Women are being harassed in the streets, and white men, white men are all suspicious and surly over their lower living standards. The sinking realization to the world he made fun of but loved more than anything is gone forever and will never come back, and the horrifying suspicion that his own counterculture irreverence may have helped kill it. So he impotently gripes on Twitter and wonders where the laughter went. When did the jokes stop? Where are those wonderful repressed and uptight conservatives? It's like, yeah, like, but of course, like, to defend John Cleese, he was young, like, young guy in his 20s. Like, I probably would have felt similar to him back in those days. Uh, but yeah, I guess it's a very, I don't know, insightful take. Not saying it's completely accurate necessarily, but interesting. But anyway, let's go to the news story. Um, so, comedy writer arrested in the UK over trans slurs. What we know, I think it's slurs. You can't see it because this is blocking it. So, a comedy writer says he was arrested in the UK over social media post about transgender issues. Graham Linehan, who created popular British sitcoms Father Ted and the It Crowd, or the IT crowd, and Black Book, said he was arrested at Heathrow Airport in London after flying from Arizona. So yeah, I don't know Black Books. I probably heard of the IT crowd, but I don't think I've seen it. But Father said, like, I saw a few episodes and it seemed decent, but like back when it showed on TV in Finland, like over 20 years ago, it was usually like in the morning, so either I was at school or sleeping when it was on TV, so I didn't get to see it that often. But anyways, maybe I should look into it now that we have internet and it's easier to see all this stuff. Anyways, we did had internet back then, but back then it wasn't so easy to find video on the internet. If you catch my drift. Police did not name Linehan in a statement about the arrest, but said it was made on suspicion of inciting violence. The Metropolitan Police says, blah, 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 quoted in multiple outlets, a man in his 50s was arrested on suspicion of inciting violence. This is in relation to post on X. Oh my god. So what did he say? Writing a Substack blog, Linehan said, I think he's Linehan, or not Linehan, anyway, said he was intercepted by 5 armed officers and taken to a cell for questioning about 3 tweets he published in April. One of the 3 tweets, according to screenshots posted on Linehan's Substack blog, called a trans identified male being in a female only space a violent abusive act and appeared to suggest a violent act. So does it mean that the Linehan suggested a violent act against the man posing as a female or something? Uh, it's not very clear. Anyways, he said he told the police that he was making a joke. In a second tweet, he posted what appeared to be an aerial shot of protest group, called it a photo you can smell. In a third tweet, he wrote, expressing his views: I hate them misogynists and homophobes. Fuck them. Okay. Linehan said that after questioning, his blood pressure rose to over 200 and he was taken to a hospital for observation. So I don't really understand, but it's bullshit. Like, he says some stuff that's, at least this article doesn't really explain it well, like what he actually said, what's his crime, like couldn't they post pictures? Or maybe there's pictures, but because I'm using archive, they are not visible. But anyways, like, I don't think you should be arrested for anything pretty much you say on Twitter. Like, there are very few things that actual advocating actual crimes. But even there's like, even if you say like that politician is bad, we should kill him or something, is even those are quite sus. Like whether it's actually any real threat. Anyways, and there's this story: a man has been arrested in the UK for calling somebody a muppet. The police are out of control. I wish this was a joke. It is in absolute insanity. Not gonna play the whole video, but yeah, so apparently he called some woman a muppet, some guy, and the police are arresting. It's like, I'm just. I think I've asked this before. Like, what are the British people doing? Something? Are they, meeting in secret outside of Twitter, where the police can't listen in? And then I wonder, like, what can we do about our, tyrannical police state? Like, can we get perhaps perchance get a time machine and, you know, uh, go back to the 30s or late 30s or early 40s, and when that guy with the mustache says like, hey, England, do you want peace? And then we are going to force the prime minister to say, yes, we want peace with Germany, and maybe they will save them from the predicament they're currently in. Just one theoretical suggestion. Oh yeah, and then there's this. Keir Starmer confirms he is Jewish. Has family in Israel too. What a surprise! Never could have
Honest,
seen this
are you a
coming.
Zionist?
Well, look, I don't know how many people know this. My parents' family are Jewish, and we've got extended family in Israel. That we feel this every day. I don't describe myself as a Zionist, but I understand and I sympathise and I
I'm
support
not.
Zionism.
I,
So I wouldn't describe myself in that way, but of course, we have family in Israel, and that is part of my family.
Honest, are you?
yeah. What can you say about that? That won't get me banned from the internet. Oh yeah, and then there's this. We are not amused. This is Queen Victoria, and this is an, um, a meme more than 100 years old. Not this particular GIF or GIF I call it, but I've been soiled by the internet or something. So I said accidentally GIF, but whatever. We are not amused. I think Queen Victoria said it at some point, and of course, not referring to this guy, but to arresting comedians making bad jokes on Twitter. We are not amused. We are tired. Very, very tired. Okay, Israel delenda est. The first step or one step to unfucking our world is to destroy the political entity of Israel, since without it we can never have proper stability and peace in the world. Israel delenda est. So let's see what did they do this week. So Gaza aid flotilla organizers say boat carrying Greta Thunberg hit by suspected drone. So Harrison H. Smith Cross. So is he very crossed? Is that part of his name? Anyways, he asks, did Israel just murder Greta Thunberg? And this may makes mixed sentiments in many people. Like whether they think it's a good thing if they did this or not. But for me, it's like the enemy of my enemy is my not necessarily friend, but at least have some redeeming qualities. And if Thunberg has issues with Israel, then I guess she has some redeeming qualities. Oh yeah, and then we are almost to the 24th anniversary of 9/11, just a couple of days away. Damn, like it's crazy because when I was a young man, 9/11 happened, and before that, I recall thinking that I don't really know anything about politics and stuff like that, but maybe I should look into it, and I didn't really do it then, but then 9/11 happened, and it sort of motivated me to start paying more attention to the news and stuff, and it took me many years to gain some understanding of how things work. But anyway, so it's just crazy that there are adults who were born after the events, and maybe they don't know many of these details. They've been just told the television version. So there's one detail about it. That truth teller here says, who were the Israeli art students who had access to the 90th and 91st floor of the WTC buildings, so the World Trade Center buildings? The so-called art history students from Tel Aviv, Israel, who got access to the 90th and 91st floor of the World Trade Center in New York on January 2nd, 2001, through a friendly Jewish organization, were in fact explosive experts. They even managed to have access day and night also to the technical areas in the buildings via Securacom security service. Securacom also supervised Dallas Airport and American Airlines. Securacom was until 31st December 2000 co-owned by the brother of the president Marvin Bush. Marvin Bush is that? I know about Jeb Bush, but I didn't. I probably heard about him, but I forgot Marvin. Marvin the Martian. Yeah. He's the geek of the family. We not sorry. We not only see rail protectors but also countless other electrical components like Little Fuse. Company is also part of Tracor, a Texas government contractor that had a subsidiary named Vitro, later renamed Halliburton. The Vice President Dick Cheney was the director. Halliburton collected $40 million after 9/11. The men in the photo are hard to recognize, but one of them has been identified as Hanan Surfati, an Israeli military expert in explosives. All the equipment that we see in the photo can be used to detonate jump charges. Normally, art history students are not concerned with jump loads. Yeah. What is BB-18? Yeah, what does it say in the crates or the boxes? US Postal Service. Okay, probably. But yeah, it looks like some harness for climbing and stuff. I'm not an expert, but it looks like it. So yeah. Well, lies and lies. Muslims flew the planes. Planes destroyed. Okay, that's a joke. A joke of a person. So yeah, also don't forget the dancing Israelis who were there to document the event. Okay, Thomas Massey has named billionaire John Paulson as the first figure from Epstein's Black Book on Epstein's victims, for Epstein's victims. So, early life check. John's mother, Jacqueline, was the daughter of Jewish immigrants from Lithuania and Romania who had moved to New York City. Yeah, interesting. So this is one of his uh, cohorts, his fellow criminals, allegedly. Epstein. Okay, I guess Massey knows what he's talking about. Otherwise, he's probably gonna get sued. So interesting. I wonder if the authorities are gonna do, or are they gonna investigate this thing, or anything like that. Anyway, and there's this, this guy who was arrested a few weeks for trying to do stuff with minors in America and was sent to Israel. So, anyways, senior Israeli cybersecurity official Tom Artyom Alexandrovich, who was allowed to flee to Israel after posting a $10,000 bail following his arrest in Las Vegas, child sexting, appeared before a Nevada judge after missing his first court date. Court set October 6th for Judge Shifa Lakwa. Oh, fuck. I don't, it's like a mineral water slash perfume, Shifa Aqua. It's like the latest new thing that everybody wants. Anyways, Judge Shifa Aqua to decide on a preliminary hearing. I suspect at worst he's gonna get a slap on the wrists. I hope not, but like, sees if he was, he went back to United States for the court date. I do think it suggests that he's not too worried about it. That that he'd actually have to go to jail or something. I just don't think he's so moral or something. Unless maybe he was innocent and he was just completely coincidentally there with the sex things. It's possible. I don't believe it, but it's possible. Oh yeah, this not really well, perhaps related to Israel in some way. And so this guy claims forensic study finds that Christchurch mosque shooting was staged. There's this 5 minute video. I watched it earlier. I'm not going to play it now, though. Not sure whether it's true or not, but I do recall back when it happened that there were such allegations. And yeah, I do think some things about the whole incident were sus. Um, but I don't. Well, should I? Let's just say, like, I did read the Brenton Tarrant, that was his name, the guy's manifesto, and I did think it was humorous, it was witty, but like he's he's the reason why 8chan was shut down, because he posted on supposedly posted on 8chan just before he did the bang bang, and I just refuse to believe that this was any kind of regular on the chance, because all he said about Jewish people is that he's fine with Jewish people as long as they don't mess around with Europeans or Western people or something, like, that doesn't sound like your stereotypical 4chan user, or especially 8chan user. So that just smelled like a plant or some sort. Oh yeah, and then there's this. If you search for stuff about US's liberty on TikTok, you get a Holocaust denial warning. Why? So, US's liberty, facts about Holocaust. Remember to consult trusted sources to prevent spread of hate and misinformation. So, wait, did the US's liberty do the Holocaust? Is that the new meta? I believe that's the new meta. I didn't know, but that's why Israel was justified in attacking it. Okay, yeah. But let's move on. Let's move away from Israel forever, hopefully. So let's go to games and entertainment and related stuff. Yeah, no, this one, this one. All right. I had a brain fart. So yeah, Hollow Knight Silksong came out, has peaked at over at 530,000 plus players on Steam, around 4 hours as the launch. The original Hollow Knight peaked at 72,000 players, and that happened yesterday. Okay, I guess people are really excited about this. I haven't played either of them. I have Hollow Knight on my Steam account, have had it for years. Got it in some bundle, don't even remember when. Like, personally, I know that it is been heavily praised over the years, but like, I just doesn't look appealing to me, like the style and the graphics and stuff. Like, maybe it would be a great game if I was to play it. Maybe I should try it at some point. Like, I can get past the graphical style that doesn't appeal to me if the gameplay is great. But seems to be a decent game that people actually like, and not pushing propaganda, not pushing predatory monetary practices, nothing like that. So that's great news. And this is news about, say, over 10 years ago, so, or whenever. Bet the developer was glad he ignored Reddit. So this guy saying gaming is racist is like rainbow flag. Last year my best friend quit his full-time job to chase his dream and make a fully fledged video game. Today he just released a trailer and it looks beyond amazing. So yeah, Baby Got Saps. I'm sure it's a fine game, but the market is currently saturated with side-scrolling platforms, so I feel the game may not do as good as his hopes. One more indie 2D scroller, because we don't have enough of those. Meh, cartoony 2D platform, back to the dumpster where you belong. So yeah, it's Hollow Knight, of course. It's sold very well and it's very beloved game by many. But hey, I'm gonna have to sort of defend Reddit here, because, like, initial reactions, like, yeah, it's a reasonable reaction, but of course it is good for the developers that they didn't listen to Reddit. It's very good for them, but there probably are many other cases where people did similar stuff and made a similar, at least superficially similar game that didn't really pan out so well. So there might be cases. Maybe in those cases, Reddit says like, "Yeah, looks amazing. You should do it." And his permaban says, wants to rant. I feel like ranting about this. You can tell me if I'm wrong about this. Maybe it's just me, but I find it very stupid that so many indie quote unquote devs and game journalists are attacking Hollow Knight Silksong's devs for announcing the game's release date 2 weeks in advance instead of longer and charging players $20 for it and not higher. Well, yeah, I think both are good. Uh, Good because I hate it, like because some games are hyped like even years before they are released and stuff. Like of course, like yeah, it's good to let people know, especially if it's a sequel to a game that people like, that you are working on a sequel. But of course, shouldn't hype it too much before it's actually finished or almost finished. And especially like yeah, $20 price tag sounds very pretty good. Anyways, how Cherry, the company, is inconsiderate and horrible for giving other indie devs such a short notice window and how their pricing hurts them. If this is how the indie devs feel, I don't have any fucking sympathy for the indie devs if they hate the customer that much. To me, all of this sounds like self-centered, cynical, indie, trademark, game dev, politics nonsense. Who are you to decide what someone else does with their creation? If I were a game dev and I finish the game I made and want to release it, I'll decide how long I want to inform my customer base in advance. It is my game, and now other indie click dev game help me making it. Again, I'm reminded of how much I dislike the indie trademark game scene. They are functionally anything but independent. The same clicks, the same backstabbing, the same throwing each other under the bus. At its core, they are just corporate game devs, but in a different kind of pain. Probably a lot of them are, yes. Okay, but I do have to say one criticism about Silksong, even though it's not about Silksong itself. Well, I said I don't like the graphical style, but about the positivity, because I do dislike it that every 2 weeks there's one game that everybody is talking about on Twitter and online and stuff. Like I'd really like there to be more discussion, like, but it's everybody's talking about the popular thing, and which is now Silksong. But at least finally seems to be a decent game, not some AAA slop. So yeah, Team Cherry. Nobody show Joyce and Schreier what Silksong's dev team looks like, or he might lose it. Yeah, it's three white guys. Oh my god, horrible. Yeah, and no pre-orders, $20, crashes all stores. No, so yeah, I think it crashed many stores when it was released. Like I don't know if Steam crashed because of it or some other stores. No, because I guess everybody was trying to download it at the same time. No review copies, breaks. No review copies. Ooh, that's cool, I guess. Breaks 500k players on Steam alone in hours. Silksong has annihilated the AAA gaming and has set a precedent. Yes, this is beautiful. This is what I like. But because the $20 is certainly, and this is still. It seems like it's a game about gameplay, and even though I prefer games with good story and stuff, and I don't know whether it has any kind of story or a half-ass story or whatever, but like it's still games should focus on gameplay and not on, I don't know, virtue signaling. It's more difficult to virtue signal when it's just about the gameplay. Right. Silksong is so popular, even people in the piracy subreddit are encouraging others to just to buy it. If you can afford it, support them. We should. This is like, of course, like yeah, if you like the game, you should support the devs. But it's sort of like I think that they've made an ass lot of money already for this game. So it's it doesn't really matter them. Like I think they're probably quite well off now, the dev team. So whether you put your $20, give the $20 for them doesn't. It's not a big deal for them, but like then maybe you should support some other indie games that are you like, that are not as popular, like Cyclopean, the Great Abyss, that came out a couple of months ago, and I streamed it and even made an Argo Spective video on it and stuff. Like it's still like it's not the greatest game. It's not like a masterpiece or any and even close to it, but it was a good game, and it was sad. Like not a lot of people talked about it, even though it looks very nice. Uh, no, I'm not gonna post anything on any Discord. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, can we ban this guy? I am getting. Sure. Okay. Yes. Ban. Yes. Aha. Ban hammer. Okay. Let's get back to the news. Like, see, the first shilling of some Discord or whatever is free, but then it's not so free anymore. Anyway, so yeah, there's of course Silksong, and I posted this from Monkey Island. Secret of Monkey Island. One, never pay more than $20 for a game. Yes, this are sacred words. Like I believe that the developers of Silksong they played Monkey Island and love Monkey Island and agree with the message. $20. Don't care what the inflation is. You should never pay more than $20 for a game. Maybe just for that, I should pay $20 for Silksong. But hey, first that I should at least pay the original Hollow Knight. I always like it's difficult for me to remember what was the name called Hollow Knight. Yeah. Uh, and here it says Roblox. So let's go to Roblox because they had this controversy of somebody hunting the pedos in the Roblox community, but Roblox apparently being more interested in protecting the pedos than the children. But anyways, Roblox stock nears an all-time high as 99% of parents allow their kids to play. Roblox earned half a million bucks in revenue in the past hour per app magic, and since Roblox has actually been doing some things like deleting all the bathroom games, seems like they'll be fine. Sounds to me, it sounds like some you know the good old pedo networks were funding it, or maybe Epstein, whether either his ghost or his mortal coil that he has not left. Maybe he was funding it, or somebody like him to. Maybe Roblox is actually bigger in their operations than people think. Like I don't know much about Roblox. Like I really don't even know what kind of game it is really, because I'm not a child, nor am I a pedophile. And also my child is too young to play video games. So let's see, like in a few years when he might, whether Roblox exists, whether I will allow him to touch it. Probably not. I'll try to steer him to, you know, to games that are less cancerous and dangerous. And then there's this. Okay, let's go to YouTube stuff. So like some AI stuff screwing up people's YouTube videos. Recently, my YouTube uploads suddenly started getting abysmally low views, and this was way beyond the occasional dud. So today I looked into it, and it was the most demented thing I've experienced in my online career. Apparently. But okay, this is an honest, typo. But anyways, apparently YouTube has enabled AI translation of the video title, description, and worst of all, audio, making me sound like a Google assistant for whatever local language the viewer is from. It's insane. The worst part is that this feature was enabled by default. I didn't even know until a viewer reached out and let me know how annoying it was to have to manually switch it off for every video. Granted, this might be a useful feature for some monolingual YouTubers if used right, but for someone like me with a primarily multilingual European audience, it's just horrible, and switching it on without explicit consent from my end is insane. Seething right now. Yeah, I would feel the same. I wonder. Well, my YouTube channel has so many. I mean, so few viewers. So I don't think YouTube is gonna bother any time soon, but maybe one day I can also complain about similar things. Yay! And yeah, yeah. Also, I saw some other. I think that was a couple of weeks ago. Some other guy saying that was it like his appearance. Like I think he was playing a guitar or something, and his physical appearance had been retouched by AI somehow to make him look different, which is sounds even more insane. But yeah, just auto translating something. This fucking dystopian. Like yeah, sure. If you're, I guess it might be nice if there are some, I don't know, Arabic videos had auto translate so I could watch what people are watching on YouTube in Saudi Arabia or Qatar or whatever. Might be interesting, but it shouldn't be default. Like never, no. Anyways, okay, let's go more to payment processor stuff. So last week, Brazilian judge from Blumenau, Santa Catarina ruled that removing content deemed unlawful under Brazilian law is not enough if limited to Brazil. The judge now is demanding that the global removal of online content under threat of hefty fines for the platform. Yeah, I did report this last week, I believe. So yeah, Brazilian judge ruled that removing content deemed unlawful under Brazilian law on the internet is not enough if limited to Brazil. The judge is now demanding the global removal of online content of face. Yeah. So basically, I hope every country does this then. If one country, every country should do it. So yeah, the Islamic countries should demand, like, if you have a I think many, like, Islamic countries or Muslims don't really appreciate, like, they don't appreciate LGBT stuff or the theory of evolution, because I recall years ago some Muslims complaining about Pokemon games that they push evolution on people, and it's like, okay, so let's ban all mention all depictions of homosexuality or evolution, and then of course the Chinese or Cubans can demand all depictions of religion, because if they're atheist countries, so no religion, no, and no depiction of scantily clad women, because that will of course offend both feminists and Muslims, and then no depictions of um, women in burqas, because that will offend then, let's say, more libertarian people, and so forth. So then the only thing on the internet that can be like depicted on the internet that offends no country is, like, I don't know, a potato. Like, well, can we find something that would offend nobody? Like, is it possible? I'd really like to see, but I'm sort of starting to like this game. I just hope all the governments catch up and, like, start banning anything that anybody finds offensive. What's this? Visa announces new role as Director Global Gaming Partnerships, paying nearly $250,000 a year. The job is described as shaping culture, reimagining how payments power in the future of play. How payments power in the future of play. It's weird expression. Visa isn't being subtle about control. So gaming is just no longer just about place, culture, community, and commerce. Yes, so stay away, fucking corporations. Yes, gaming is certainly about culture as well. Well, community is like online communities. Like, I don't think online communities are a real thing, except it's like some forum, a specific forum, maybe like Kiwi Farms forum or something of okay, but it's like not all gamers online are a community. Definitely not. Yeah, yeah. So they want to uplift their, some corporate bullshit speak, and I think then people are reporting that this was really removed. Yeah, Visa's deleted his job of on LinkedIn, director global gaming partnerships, about reimagining how payments power the future of play. So yeah, they have been deleted. And so yeah, Chibi review says we have a small victory here, but Well, some people have pointed out maybe it probably just means that they hired somebody, and I do believe, and I wouldn't call it a victory. Like only victory is like if the fucking whole Visa corporation is dismantled. Like they drew first blood, and I don't forgive. Like not easily, at least. I'm not saying it's like a realistic goal in the past few years to like dismantle these payment processor companies, but like I don't at this stage in of the world and this stage this late in the game. I don't think we can just do small reforms in governments or legislation or the corporate structures. Like no, we have to overhaul a lot of systems if we want like a reasonable sane society that isn't run by money grabbing pedophiles. Like we have to make drastic changes. An elected Japanese politician Yamada Taro had a meeting with people who represented international financial bottleneck Visa and MasterCard that now determines which legal businesses are allowed to function. Yamada Taro says progress was made. So he's confronting financial censorship. So that's good if he can actually do something, but I don't believe it's going to be enough. And of this, there's an active petition in Canada to stop censorship from payment processors like Visa and MasterCard. Canadians, I urge you to spread the awareness of this for your government response. You can save yourself from censorship if you band together. Yeah, I agree. You can save yourself from censorship if you band together, but I don't think these petitions are enough. Like I think it's a good first step. Let's be positive here. Like it is a good first step, but you shouldn't fool yourself to think that yeah, just signing a petition is gonna fix anything. And also UK has stopped censorship of legal games and media by companies like Mastercard and Visa. So similar kind of petition. ICE also says Canada and Australia. So yeah, these countries they have petitions. So yeah, good first step, but be aware you have to do more. Google won't need to sell its Chrome browser to address its illegal online search monopoly, a judge ruled today. Google can continue paying partners to preload it or place its search on AI products. It just sounds. For a moment, I said Antichrist. I guess it's some sort of Nord. Google gets to keep Chrome judge rules in search Antichrist case. Now Google can finally appeal the case. So yeah, of course, like I wouldn't call Chrome itself being um, any kind of monopoly if that's the case, because there are many other better browsers out there. But it is sounds bullshit that they can preload their malware onto products and stuff. Yeah, because I think Google should be let's just say broken up into smaller pieces, at least, or Alphabet. Oh yeah, Nintendo ruined somebody's life. A man who sold Nintendo Switch mod chips, flashcards, and pirated games settled a lawsuit with Nintendo agreeing to pay $2 million. He initially attempted to defend himself without legal representation. Under the settlement, he is permanently barred from possessing or distributing mod chips, flashcards, or similar devices. Nintendo also will seize any such items in his possession and take control of his website. See, like, okay, this like of course it sounds a bit dumb and reckless for the guy to do this, but like the act from Nintendo just seems very vindictive. Like how does it give them right to get the possession of the items or his website? Like I think they should be just, I don't know, dumped to a landfill or whatever, shut down the website like this. Like why, if he made the website, even though he used Nintendo's intellectual material, but he also contributed this. This sounds like theft to me. And also this, well, basically, if he copied Nintendo games onto cartridges or flashcards or whatever, yeah, it sounds just wrong. Like this just sounds, yeah, Nintendo Dell dice. This sounds evil. Like, this guy, yeah, okay, he did commit crimes, but like the punishment is like, breaking his kneecaps in addition, like because it should be like if you break the law, it should be it's the government should be punishing him, not Nintendo. But here it seems like Nintendo is doing the punishing. Like, let's say like, I beat somebody up in a nightclub or something, and then then the injured party's family gets to break my kneecaps instead of the government sending me to jail. That's sort of how it sounds like. And in that case, if I actually beat somebody up seriously, maybe it would be more justified. But I don't know. It just seems wrong. Anyways, 1 year ago, not on this day, a few days ago, Concord was shut down just 2 weeks after launch. Wait, no, no, no. Where's this? I don't. Okay, I should have it. Okay, okay. I guess I don't have the. Yeah, because um, I was supposed to have another news story relating to Concord, but it was just some journalist or whoever defending that or saying that it's wrong to call Concord the biggest flop in gaming ever, and it's like okay, I'm willing to. I have an open mind. I'm willing to listen, but please make an argument which would be a bigger flop. Like they spent it's like near half a million dollar, no, $500 million on this game, right? And it ran on for 2 weeks until it was shut down, and the people who were foolish enough to pay their money for the game, they were refunded. So basically, it just lost Sony and whatever corporations involved with this like $500 million. I think it was half a billion, like of 400 million or something. Is that half a billion? Anyways, insane amount of money that just down the drain. Like, what would be a bigger failure in gaming? Like, ET from the early 80s certainly doesn't compare. Anyway, assassination classroom that was banned a while ago thanks to Florida law has been unbanned by judge in Florida. So yeah, it just sounds retarded. Florida law that was used by conservative groups to ban assassination classroom and other famous anime has been overturned by a federal judge. So I don't know what other titles were banned. I don't remember if I reported on this. I do reporting on some stuff like this, but and I haven't seen this anime. I don't know how bad it is, but it sounds like complete bullshit. Like very arbitrary. Like the only rule, like only way I can make censorship and banning stuff like I can agree with it is that at least make it clear what kind of stuff is banned. uh, yeah, Somalia, I enjoy your banning you as well. Yes, thank you. No, wait, no, fucking piece of shit. No, ban. They're ban. They're spamming some fucking Discord in my chat. I don't allow that. Oh yeah, and then they are censoring my dress up darling, the anime. So in the manga, her nipples are showing. Yeah, you can see her boobs. I've seen the picture. I won't scroll down. It's probably somewhere there, but I will get in trouble with Twitch and stuff for while it was showing it. But yeah, so apparently in the anime they won't show her nipples, and it's like, uh, of course, like it doesn't surprise me that they're censoring it, but it is unfortunate, and I don't like it. And just out of principle, like I wouldn't really care that much, but because you can probably see other kinds of, if you want to see Marin Kitagawa naked, there are probably ways of doing it online, but but just the idea of censorship, generally speaking, offends me. And also, and people are, you know defending the censorship, saying like, well, she's a 16-year-old girl, how you pervert, why do you want to see her boobs and stuff. I was like, it was fine in the manga but not in the anime. So it's like, it's just, it is people with slave mentality, just defending their slave masters, basically people who defend censorship, or they are, very prudish people. And but then, well, clearly the anime or the manga isn't for you if you don't, if it offends you to see boobs. And last story of the week, 2K confirms layoffs at Civilization developer Firaxis following bad reception of Civilization 7. 2K spokesperson stated that Firaxis Games underwent a staff reduction of the restructure and optimized its development process for adaptability, collaboration, and creativity. Yeah, it sucked. Everybody saw that coming a mile away, that it's gonna suck. Well, when they saw, what's her name, Harriet Top Girl, that she's in the game, like, yeah, it's gonna be woke trash, and it was woke trash. But yeah, but there was that one story still in bookmarks I didn't have time. So yeah, this one, new capitalist nightmare just dropped. Job market is hell. Young people are using ChatGPT to write their applications. HR is using AI to read them. No one is getting hired. So I don't know how much this is true. Is it polemical or something? But it's just fun anecdote about how fucked up our society is, if it's even partially true. Like, of course, it's partially true. Some people are using ChatGPT to write applications, I'm pretty sure, and stuff like that. But anyways, but that's the news for this week. And I don't know. I hope there's gonna be some revelations from the Epstein files that were released. Probably not, but here's to hoping. And but yeah, at least I did it. That's genuinely good news that the U.S. Department of Defense is now the Department of War. Okay, it's not Minister of War; it's Department of War. Whatever. Yeah, ministers. I think it's more like European thing. Anyways, that's honest, and I like that. But I'm Adventure Argonaut, and I'm gonna sign off. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.